Oh, they're scared now, real scared. Because the universe doesn't work like that, does it? Things don't just fall apart for them the exact moment you decided to stop caring. Careers don't crumble the second you walk away. Relationships don't implode right after you choose silence. Health doesn't deteriorate when you finally put yourself first. Reputations don't shatter precisely when you stop defending yours. No. That's not how randomness works. That's not coincidence. That's consequence. And every single person watching them fall knows exactly who planted the seeds of their collapse, even if they'll never say it out loud. Let me paint you a picture. For months, maybe years, you endured. You absorbed their cruelty like a sponge absorbs poison. You smiled through their passive aggression. You stayed quiet during their public humiliations. You forgave betrayals that would have broken weaker souls. You gave chance after chance after chance, watching them waste every single one like spoiled children burning money. And what did they do? They mistook your patience for weakness. They confused your silence for stupidity. They thought your kindness meant you had no teeth, no claws, no capacity for devastation. They genuinely believed you were harmless. But then something shifted. You stopped responding to their provocations. You stopped showing up to battles they kept scheduling in your name. You stopped trying to prove yourself to people who were professionally committed to misunderstanding you. You just stopped. Not with fanfare, not with announcements, not with dramatic exits or burning bridges. You simply withdrew your energy, your attention, your presence from their circus. And that's when their world started collapsing. One by one, piece by piece. Like dominoes falling in slow motion while they scrambled to understand why. Their golden opportunity vanished overnight. The promotion they bragged about for weeks, gone, given to someone else. Their perfect relationship they flaunted in your face every chance they got, crumbling behind closed doors, arguments, distrust, the kind of chaos they once wished on you. That business venture they were so confident about, the one they said would prove you wrong about everything, failed, spectacularly, publicly, with financial consequences they're still trying to hide, their health, their reputation, their peace of mind. Everything they took for granted while tormenting you started falling apart the moment you stopped feeding them, your reaction. And now they're calling it coincidence. They're telling themselves it's just bad luck, unfortunate timing, Mercury in retrograde, a rough patch, anything but the truth. Because the truth, the real truth, is too terrifying for them to face. The truth is that some people carry protection you can't see. Some souls operate under laws you don't understand. And when you push certain individuals past their breaking point, when you take their mercy for granted, when you mistake their peace for passivity, you don't just lose them. You lose everything they were unknowingly holding together for you. You weren't just present in their lives. You were the stabilizer, the silent guardian, the unseen anchor keeping their chaos from consuming them completely. Your energy, whether you realized it or not, was a shield they hid behind while pretending to be strong. Your forgiveness was the glue holding their fragile egos together. Your presence was the mirror that let them believe they were good people despite their actions. And when you removed yourself, when you took back your light, your peace, your protection, they were left exposed to the natural consequences of who they really are. This isn't magic. This isn't curses or spells or supernatural intervention. This is universal law. Energy for energy, cause and effect. Karma isn't some mystical force that strikes people down randomly. Karma is simply the truth catching up. It's the bill coming due. It's the harvest of seeds they planted in darkness, thinking no one was watching. And you were never their enemy. You were their last line of defense against themselves. The moment you walked away, they lost the only thing protecting them from the monsters they'd been creating. They thought you were weak because you didn't fight back. They thought you were stupid because you didn't retaliate. They thought you were broken because you cried in private instead of causing public scenes. But what they didn't understand, what they couldn't comprehend, is that real power doesn't announce itself. Real strength doesn't need validation. Real protection doesn't require spells or rituals or revenge plots. It just requires withdrawal, silence, the complete and total removal of your energy from their equation. And that, my friend, is what you did. You didn't curse them. You released them. You didn't wish harm on them. You simply stopped wishing them well. You didn't pray for their downfall. You just stopped praying for their protection. And the universe, in its infinite intelligence, recognized that shift. It saw you step back. It felt you let go. And in that space, in that vacuum where your light used to shine on their darkness, reality flooded in. Consequences they'd been avoiding for years suddenly had room to breathe. Debts they'd been dodging finally caught up. Lies they'd been telling started unraveling, all because you stopped holding the door closed on their chaos. Now, they're panicking. They're looking around at the rubble of their lives, connecting dots they don't want to connect. They remember the exact day you stopped answering their calls. They recall the moment you unfollowed them without explanation. They can pinpoint the week you stopped defending yourself against their accusations. And they're noticing, horrified, that everything started falling apart right after that. Their minds are racing. Their hearts are pounding. Because deep down, beneath all their denial and defensiveness, they know. They absolutely know this isn't coincidence. But here's the thing. They can't say it out loud. They can't admit it to their friends. They can't confess it to themselves without unraveling completely. Because admitting you had that kind of impact would mean admitting they were wrong about you. It would mean acknowledging you were never the villain they painted you as. It would require them to face the uncomfortable truth that they didn't just lose you, they lost their protection, their peace, their last chance at redemption. And that's a pill too bitter to swallow. So they'll keep calling it coincidence. They'll keep pretending it's random. They'll keep telling themselves stories that let them sleep at night. But watch them. Watch how they avoid your name in conversations. Watch how they tense up when someone mentions you. Watch how their eyes dart away when your success comes up. Watch how defensive they get when people suggest maybe, just maybe, they were wrong about you all along. That's not the behavior of people who believe in coincidence. That's the behavior of people who know exactly what they lost and exactly why everything fell apart. You didn't have to do anything except stop doing everything. You didn't have to fight back. You just had to stop fighting for them. You didn't have to seek revenge. You just had to stop protecting them from the consequences of their own actions. You didn't have to curse them. You just had to stop blessing them with your presence, your energy, your silent sacrifices they never appreciated. And that withdrawal was more powerful than any weapon you could have used. Because here's what they're realizing too late. You weren't in their lives by accident. You weren't there to be their punching bag, their emotional dumping ground, their convenient scapegoat. You were there as a test, a mirror, a chance for them to choose better, to be better, to recognize the gift standing right in front of them. And they failed, spectacularly, repeatedly, with such consistency that the universe itself finally said, enough. You gave them opportunity after opportunity to course correct. You handed them chances they didn't deserve. And they spit on every single one. Now they're facing the aftermath, the karma they created, the void they can't fill. Because you can't replace authenticity with fakeness. You can't substitute real love with manipulation. You can't recreate genuine connection with surface-level relationships. They're learning the hard way that some people are irreplaceable. Some energies can't be duplicated. Some bonds, once broken, leave scars that never fully heal. And you? You were one of those rare, irreplaceable souls they took for granted until it was too late. Watch them try, though. Watch them reach out to others. trying to find someone, anyone who can give them what you gave them. Watch them cycle through relationship after relationship, friendship after friendship, searching for that same feeling, that same peace, that same safety. They won't find it. They can't find it. Because you weren't just a person to them. You were a frequency, a vibration, an energy signature that matched something broken inside them and held it together. Without you, they're left with the raw truth of who they are. And it's terrifying them. The job they lost, they'll say the economy is bad. The relationship that crumbled, they'll blame their partner. The friendship circles that dissolved, they'll call everyone else fake. The opportunities that vanished, they'll cry about bad timing. But you know better. I know better. Anyone paying attention knows better. Because the pattern is too obvious. The timing is too precise. The correlation is too strong to ignore. Everything they had started crumbling the moment they lost you. Not before, not randomly. Exactly when you decided they no longer deserved access to your energy. And the most beautiful part? You didn't have to lift a finger. You didn't have to plot or scheme or strategize. You didn't have to gather evidence or build cases or convince anyone of anything. You simply became unavailable, unreachable, uninterested. You took your light and walked into a different room, leaving them in the darkness they'd been creating all along. And that darkness, it's eating them alive now, because they can finally see it clearly without your light disguising it as something tolerable. They're calling it a coincidence because the alternative is too painful. The alternative means they destroyed the best thing that ever happened to them. It means they had someone rare, someone special, someone genuinely good in their corner, and they abused that privilege until it was revoked. It means their downfall isn't the universe being cruel. It's the universe being fair. Finally, after watching them mistreat you for far too long, the scales are balancing. The debt is being collected. And they're paying interest on every tear you cried, every night you spent questioning yourself, every moment they made you feel small. This is what happens when you underestimate someone's value until they're gone. This is what happens when you confuse patience with weakness. This is what happens when you think you can mistreat people without consequence just because they don't immediately retaliate. You don't get to weaponize someone's kindness and then act surprised when removing that kindness reveals the monster you've been all along. You don't get to hide behind someone's mercy and then cry victim when that mercy is withdrawn. They thought you needed them. They genuinely believed they were doing you a favor by keeping you around. They thought you should be grateful for the scraps of attention they threw your way. They convinced themselves you'd never leave, never walk away, never find the strength to choose yourself over their dysfunction. And that arrogance, that miscalculation, it cost them everything. Because you didn't just leave. You evolved. You elevated. You stepped into a version of yourself they can't touch, can't reach, can't even comprehend. Now they're stuck, watching from a distance, as you thrive, as you glow, as you build a life so peaceful, so abundant, so aligned, that it makes their chaos look even more pathetic by comparison. They're seeing you happy without them, and it's destroying the narrative they told themselves. The story where you were the problem, where you were the one holding them back, where you were the source of their misery. That story is crumbling because the evidence contradicts it. You left and got better. They stayed and got worse. Case closed. But they can't accept it. So they'll twist it. They'll rewrite history. They'll tell anyone who'll listen that you changed, that you're not who you used to be, that success corrupted you, or distance made you cold. They'll do anything to avoid admitting the simple truth. You didn't change. You just stopped changing yourself to accommodate their dysfunction. You didn't become cold. You just stopped warming yourself trying to melt their frozen hearts. You didn't abandon them. They abandoned themselves when they chose ego over growth, pride over accountability, comfort over truth. And now they're living with the consequences. Every door that closes in their face, every opportunity that slips through their fingers, every relationship that implodes, every plan that fails, every moment of unexplainable bad luck that isn't really luck at all. It's the universe recalibrating, its energy returning to sender. It's the natural order reasserting itself after they tried so hard to manipulate it in their favor. They wanted you beneath them. The universe put them beneath themselves. You know what the wildest part is? They'll probably never apologize. They'll probably never take accountability. They'll probably go to their graves calling it all coincidence, bad luck, unfortunate circumstances. And you know what? That's fine. Perfect. Even. Because you don't need their acknowledgement. You don't need their apology. You don't need them to understand or admit or confess anything. Your peace doesn't require their awareness. Your healing doesn't need their validation. Your success doesn't depend on their recognition. You already won. The moment you chose yourself, you won. The moment you walked away from their circus, you won. The moment you stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, you won. And everything happening to them now? That's just the scoreboard updating to reflect a game that ended the day you decided you were done playing. They lost you. That was the loss. Everything else is just aftermath, consequences. The universe's way of making sure they fully understand the magnitude of what they threw away. So let them call it coincidence. Let them pretend it's random. Let them convince themselves there's no connection between losing you and losing everything else. Because the truth doesn't need their acceptance to be true. The pattern doesn't need their acknowledgement to be real. The karma doesn't need their understanding to keep working. It's going to keep unfolding, keep unraveling, keep revealing, until either they face what they did and genuinely change, or they spiral so far down they become a cautionary tale for others. Meanwhile, you're over here building, creating, healing, thriving, living a life so full of peace it makes their chaos look like self-imposed torture. You're not watching them fall because you're too busy rising. You're not celebrating their struggles because you're too focused on your own victories. You're not even thinking about them most days because you've filled the space they used to occupy with things that actually matter, people who actually value you, experiences that actually fulfill you, a version of yourself they'll never meet because they lost access to your evolution. And every now and then, when news of their latest disaster reaches you, you'll feel something. Not satisfaction, exactly, not revenge, something quieter, calmer, more profound, a sense of universal justice, a recognition that some things are out of your hands and in far more capable ones, a knowing that you didn't need to fight, to force, to fix, or to finish them. You just needed to step back and let truth do what truth does. Reveal, expose, correct, balance. They're calling it coincidence because they can't handle calling it what it really is. Cause and effect. Reaping and sowing. The natural consequences of treating people like they're disposable until the universe shows them just how essential that person actually was. You weren't a coincidence in their life. You were a turning point. A crossroads. A final chance. And they chose wrong. Now they get to live with that choice, while you get to live without that burden. So here's to every door that closed in their face after they slammed yours. Here's to every opportunity they lost after they wasted yours. Here's to every sleepless night they're having after giving you so many. Here's to every ounce of chaos flooding their existence after they tried so hard to drown you in yours. Here's to karma not being a belief system but a law of nature, as reliable as gravity, as inevitable as sunrise. They pushed you off a cliff and wondered why they started falling. You don't owe them explanation. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them proof that their downfall is connected to your departure. The ones who need to know already know. The ones in denial will stay there until reality slaps them awake. And you just keep walking forward. Keep rising higher. Keep becoming more of who you were always meant to be before they convinced you to shrink. Keep building a life so magnetic, so abundant, so unapologetically yours that coincidence becomes the only word they can use because the truth is too heavy for their pride to carry. They lost the lottery and called it bad luck. They fumbled the treasure and blamed the map. They had the answer to questions they didn't know they were asking, and they threw it away because they couldn't recognize value when it was staring them in the face. Now, they're left holding nothing, wondering how it all fell apart, too proud to admit they dismantled it themselves, piece by piece, every time they chose ego over empathy, comfort over courage, lies over love. Let them wonder, let them question, let them piece together the timeline over and over again, trying to convince themselves it's all random. Because you know the truth, and the truth is this. You didn't do something to them. You stopped doing everything for them. And that absence revealed the emptiness they'd been hiding under your presence. You weren't the cause of their fall. You were the only thing keeping them from falling sooner. Now they know. They can't unknow it. They can feel it in their bones, even if their mouths won't speak it. Every time something goes wrong, your name echoes in the back of their mind. Every time they lose something valuable, they remember the day they lost you. Every time life gets harder, they recall how easy it was when you were around. Not because you made it easy, but because you carried weight they didn't even realize was there until you stopped carrying it. And that's the thing about being someone's unacknowledged foundation. When you crumble, they don't just lose support, they lose the ground itself. They're not standing anymore. They're free-falling. And calling it coincidence is just their way of screaming into the void, hoping someone will catch them the way you used to before they pushed you too far, too hard, too many times. So no, it's not coincidence. It's consequence. It's correction. It's the universe looking at the imbalance they created and saying enough. It's energy returning to its source. It's protection being revoked. It's mercy being exhausted. It's you finally mattering in a way they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to forget and failing, every single time. Welcome to the aftermath, where your absence speaks louder than their excuses, where your silence screams truths they can't escape, where your peace becomes their prison and your freedom becomes their cage. They're calling it coincidence, but everyone watching, everyone who knows the real story, they're calling it exactly what it is: karma, justice. The inevitable result of taking someone irreplaceable for granted until they become irretrievably gone.